the explosion begin. We are back. Recruiters with No Limits, always live, never scripted. Here with my sidekick and co-host, Johnny Ruffini. Brother John.
Richard, good to see you, my man.
Number 98, brother. You know that, man.
2 more and we hit the century mark. That's a good thing.
I know. We are so pumped for today. But I tell you what, Johnny, number 98 is special for myself and you. I mean, what we have here, we have a super guest today, Sarah from the West Coast. Ooh, wow. Sarah, you had to get up early today, didn't you, for this?
No, well, I'm up at 4:30, so you would have had to be way earlier to get me.
Ooh, she's up with the rooster before the rooster goes. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're just going to dive into it, So, Sarah, I want to just discuss, okay, so you want to start a staffing firm. Give us the breakdown of what went through your mind and why you want to jump into this beautiful industry that we all love.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had worked previously at other agencies, and so many times you see amazing clients, like things that people manufacture and produce, distribution, how, our entire supply chain works. And I just thought like there had to be a better way than, can you lift 50 pounds? Here's an address. See you tomorrow. Hopefully you show. And so I really saw a need in the industry to be personalized, to humanize the process, and to be able to design it for a client. And yes, that may take a few extra days, but in the long term, your retention is higher, your employees are happier, and ultimately your client's more successful. Did I ever thought I could do it on my own? No, I was unhappy where I was. And, recruiting's very much known for its great work environments, right? Everyone's excited to go to work each day, but unfortunately it fosters a lot of just emphasis on numbers. And if you can't get that done, you're done. And so I started thinking what I wanted to do next. And one of my mentors was like, well, why don't you do it on your own? And I just thought like, well, I never thought of that for some reason. I didn't think that was possible. And they said, well, how hard can it be? I'm like, I don't even know what licenses I would need. And so that kind of started the thought process. And so I left that agency, and this was August of 2020. So I'm a pandemic baby, and people were like, oh, how sad you started. And the pandemic happened. And I'm like, no, I was well aware, and I still did it. But I was, and so I started in August, and I thought I had a few connections. I did have a non-solicitation. So anyone that I didn't know who knew what I could do, I couldn't talk to for a year. And so truly starting from the bottom. And so I will never forget, I was 4 months in, about to run out of money. You guys might have heard this story. I talk about it a lot on my content, but I just was like, what do I do? And I'm a firm believer when your back is against the wall, you have the best ideas. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to pick the top 5 companies that I want to work for. I'm going to write a handwritten letter to their CEOs or their founders. People can't open other people's mail. So I was like, I'll probably get to them. And I just said, I know you don't know me, but if you give me a chance, I'm not going to let you down. And I was very fortunate that all of them wrote back, and a few of them ended up being my first clients. And one of them, actually the first a direct hire deal I got, was someone who was 4 hours south. And so someone I had wrote me back and said, hey, I don't need anything, but I have a friend 4 hours south who's looking for a production manager. And so that was one of my biggest first roles. And then my other one was Check Out My Cards, or ComC, who I helped. They were at about 30 to 40 people, and we helped staff them towards the 200 mark. They gave me an opportunity there. And so that really helped set the foundation for like, okay, if you do it in a way that's authentic to you, it actually works. I don't have to be trying to be someone else or a national brand or, big. I can be myself. And so I'm grateful for that experience, even though it was super tough on the first part of it, it helped kind of set that foundation for me.
I love the fact that you sent handwritten notes. That's such a lost art nowadays. And I'm very impressed that everybody wrote back to you. That shows the power of that personalized, authentic communication. Kudos to you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I
I got to
still
tell
do
you,
it.
Sarah,
I'm sorry to hear.
I got a tear in my eyes for joy. Seriously, what you've done just there, that is what staffing's about. Plus,
Mhm.
you're a woman-owned staffing firm, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I do have a business partner, but I am woman owned. And so, yeah, it's been a wild ride. And I don't think that it gets any easier. Your problems just are a little bit different. So it's not for the faint of heart. I always tell people that. And you have to have a why. If you're doing it for the money, like that might last for a little bit, but that's not going to get you through the days that are really hard.
Well, and I noticed everything your company has a great set of core values, and I noticed
Mhm.
that your favorite is people first. So clearly, it's all about the people for you.
Yep, absolutely. If you ask anyone in my office, any of our clients, they'll say, what Staffy's values, it's people first. It's on all of our marketing materials, but we really live it. There's photos. Anytime anyone gets hired on, we take a photo of them and we have a little mug for them. And then those photos go in our office. So when you come in for an interview, you're seeing
Nice.
people who are hired on permanently and saying, like, okay, that could be me. And they're very excited
Yes.
to get that photo and that mug. But I think that we always think about it in three ways: our internal team, our client, and our employee. And you have to be an advocate for both. I think a lot of times in staffing, you're an advocate for a client because they pay you, or you're an advocate for an employee because you're trying to fill a spot. But it really is a balance of doing right by everyone.
You hit that on the head, and I love what you guys do because you're for the candidate, and we know ghosting. Please tell me,
Mhm.
Sarah, you don't ghost anybody. I can tell. I mean, seriously, everybody's probably getting a personal phone call that says, "I didn't make the job, but I'm going to help you out again," because that's something I see on your website and your Instagram, which I hope everybody follows you. That you're people first. You love the client, but your candidate's your peep. You know that, and you really
Mhm.
believe in getting them a job, which I love.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it can be a burden. It can be a lot to take on. I tell that my people in my office is like, we say people first, and that's kind of a burden you got to live up to, but that's what makes us great and it's what makes us different. But I think in terms of like ghosting, you have to set yourself up for success. So many times, if you're getting 200 applications, you might not be able to reach out to everybody that day, right? But tell them a timeline or say, reach back out to me, or say, if you were
Mhm.
chosen, we'll let you know by 5 p.m. today, but give them something that's the next step so they know what they're looking for.
I think it's interesting when you mentioned, so, you broke away from other recruiting firms you were part of
Mhm.
culturally that weren't in line with what you were aligned within your values. And I think when
Mhm.
you're on your own or when you're with a smaller firm, you have more of an ability to be people first because you are closer to it and it's more of an intimate type of business. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think that that is an advantage you can have when
Mhm.
you go against big guys, is that you're little and you can take the time to make it personalized. You can outwork everyone. That's another huge one. I always tell people when you're
Mm.
going against these big national agencies who are doing 20 to 23% markups, crazy. But you can outwork them. Answer emails faster, get on the phone at 6 a.m., 8 p.m. when a client needs you,
Yes.
be there at 6 a.m. to check in people when your people are getting there and you're there to check them in, and other agencies are lost and looking and you're helping them too. But you can stand out and use that as such an advantage when you're going against larger people.
I love what you said there too, because I'm a big firm believer. The underdog, I always say it, the little staffing
Mhm.
firms are thriving in 25. I'm going to tell you,
Mhm.
coming across the country, these big boxes, you get Sarah every time. You don't get like John or Adam because people bounce around all the time. You get one person, and these small agencies are just blowing up. People love what they can give them. And so,
Mhm.
big boxes, if you're out there, beware. Sarah's coming for you.
Yes, I'm a very competitive person in a nice way, but
Oh, yeah.
that's
I
kind of
think
like
you
one
have to
of.
be in our business.
Yeah, you do, or else you're gonna get passed up. It's
Mhm.
That's how it is, and I think so many times people. I love work-life balance too, but at the end of the day, I'm working 60 and you're working 40. I'm eventually gonna pass you up. That's just math, right? And so there's a quote that I've lived by since, well, I guess since I was born, pretty much. No, but it's, don't be afraid to die on a treadmill, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Like if you're beside me in Orange Theory, we're competing. But if you're also out there in the field, like I'm going to do whatever I can do all the time to make sure that the client knows that they're valued.
Exactly. And I
Yep.
think it comes down to service. You guys, we hit it on the
Mhm.
head. It's service. We love the competition, but at the end of the day, we're going to hug you and we're going to,
Mhm.
we love everybody in the industry because the whole common goal is to make people better. And we love the competition. So it's like, we're not stealing candidates. We're not doing anything. We're just servicing the industry, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your candidates and clients, when they talk about who they work with, they say they work with Sarah. They don't say Staffing First.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Big difference.
exactly. Yep. And I've been on the other end of that whenever I had accounts at another agency and I left and then it wasn't the same for that person. And so I understand the value of being involved in the process. And sure, I could be on a beach vacation, but that probably would only last so long. I have clients that are like, we are so loyal to you. If you ever sold, I don't know, because we love you. And it's so true
Right.
that like you can build yourself. And again, to me, it's a badge. It's not a burden anymore. Like I'm fully owning that and being in front of people and sharing my journey too.
So when you started out, for those that are thinking about dipping their toe into this entrepreneur, hey, I'm going to start my own staffing business idea, there's probably more than one, but what was the toughest challenge for you?
I think the first one that comes to mind is obviously financially. I've been working since I was even under the table from 16, but 16 legally. And so I, had never not had a job or income. And as much as you plan for this amount of money will last me so long, it goes so fast when nothing's coming in.
Oh.
And on top of that financial part of like just sustaining yourself, there's a pressure to get clients. And so it's sticking to those values, but you have this monkey on your back saying, hey, I got 3 months. So I don't want to be pushy, but I have to figure out something. And then there's things that can go wrong with the financial part. And so one of my potential partners I had, great lesson to learn, but I thought I was going to get to work with them. And so they needed all these insurance requirements. I did it. I spent $10,000 of my like $13,000 I had saved up thinking like this will get me an account. And then turns out they were like, oh, we're actually going to wait on different vendors after I'd binded the insurance and spent all my money.
Oh, no way.
So yes, so that taught me like the value of a good partner, but it also taught me like a lot of things are going to come up in the financial part. So I would say that is the biggest thing heading into it. You need to know is like, it is going to be a lot of financial pressure on you personally and in your business. And then if you can get out of that, your relationship with the financial part is more like you've already survived the worst. And so you're able to take a little bit more risks and channel that energy of just pure survival into building your business once you get out of the tail end.
Now, were you entirely self-funded? Did you have investors? How did you get that seed money?
Yeah, no, we had saved a little bit of money and that was it. I mean, I just really savings. I was too scared to take any kind of business loan, like a small business loan or anything like
Good
that.
for you.
Wow.
So, but there's such freedom in that too. Although it was so hard to make it out of the gate, there's such freedom of not having someone else to answer to, whether it be the numbers you produce or the creative planning you can do. You have so much more freedom.
So Sarah, I got to ask you, and I've been down this road too, self-funding my own staffing firm. And the more you grow, the more they have to be paid every week. And then, you know, you see the payments don't come back at quick enough. I mean, that's why I got silver in my hair right now. I'm like, oh, and you're sleeping at Friday because if you don't pay the employee, you're done. Your staffing firm's done.
Yeah. And I do
tell me what you felt like that. How did that go like in the beginning? Because, you know, you're getting more employees, your payroll's getting higher, but you're not getting the money funding in that quick.
Yeah. Well, I do have advanced partners for my funder, but anything else was just me. But still, I mean, like you still are barely making anything off your initial invoices. And then you have to wait and hope that people pay. And sometimes I would be like, well, you know, can we try it? Even though they didn't have the best credit rating with it, they'll tell you. But I think it comes down to a few things like picking the right partners. They want you to succeed too. And the right partners are not going to be aging out your invoices for 120 days when they know you're a small business. And so it's that transparency and respect for one another, I think, is a huge thing in the beginning. And the other thing is I'm not going to let anyone go without a paycheck. There was times where I barely had any money myself, and maybe someone gave us the wrong direct deposit. That's not my fault, right? But I also know that we're human, and I know I've given people wrong numbers to things. And so I'll cash app them the $60 so they don't have to wait over the weekend for pay. So there's things like that I'm a true believer. Also, if you do right by other people, they're going to do right by you. May not be that person, but as a whole, it comes back to you.
I 100% believe that.
Man.
And you don't know when it's going to come back, but it will come back.
Yep.
I love what you said there because, some people, and I've worked for the big agencies where they say, you know what, well, you messed up your payroll. You're not going to get it till next week or 2 weeks from now, and they're quitting, and you're just, I love how you said that. You'll take the time on a Friday because I'm sure Joni wears it too. Payroll day is stressful. You're hoping nobody calls you to say that their bank denied it or something like that. It's 11 o'clock at night. Like, well, I didn't get my payment yet. Or don't you love this? On Friday, they call you like Thursday night, 11 o'clock and say, it didn't go in my bank yet. And it's not our fault. It's the bank. They got to know when they're going to disperse the money. There's a lot that goes into this, Sarah. One thing I want to elaborate on is the employer brand. You hear this all the time. You have a smaller group of people. Don't you believe that they should build their own brand inside of Staffees? A lot of people just don't want to happen with that. What do you think?
I think if they're comfortable, do it. If they need to, and do it in your own way. You don't have to, yes, I'm on camera every day and I love to make that content, but not everyone's like me. Some people might make graphics, some people might make articles, but I think as a whole, you need to understand as a recruiter, you need to get to a place where you're your own brand too. Yes, you're under Staffees umbrella, but that can only take you so far. You also have to position yourself as an expert.
How long did it take you to come up with the name?
2 weeks. In fact, if you want to see something cool, hold on.
Let's do this.
I'm always curious how people come up with their names.
Maybe over a glass of wine, Joni, right?
Right.
Yep. So this is my first notebook and I keep it up on a shelf here because it was like my first notes and things. But this was like when we were drawing like out the brand and seeing what it could look like. Yes.
That's pretty cool.
I know what you're thinking. I'm an artist. How did I get into staffing with that ability? So, I mean, I would say for 2 to 3 weeks, and it just kind of like it came out, and I was like, it sounds whimsical, and don't get me wrong. There's been times where I want to get so much, like staffing and recruiting to me is a little bit different. And staffing is such an association with it that I was like, darn, well, it's in my name. So it's not that I can say recruiting versus staffing now, but I've definitely owned it, and we're changing the industry.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So something I want to talk about real quick here before we wrap things up is the niche. You see this all the time. So many people say they can do everything. And you know that, Sarah. Nobody can be a master of everything in all sectors. What is your take on all this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've actually had a few people reach out to me on LinkedIn about this one. Should I niche down? Should I stay general? I think it depends on where you are in your journey. But I will tell you that you can't be everything to everyone and be an expert at something. Even Amazon, they weren't Amazon day one, right? They started with a small thing, they got really good, and then they went to something bigger. And so I always say, like, get really good at your lane before you try to take over the block.
Great advice.
Yeah, I think that that's part of it. And then the other part is like, do what you know. Obviously, that's where I started. But then pay attention to the market. And if there is an opportunity that you see, one huge one for us lately has been legal. I take the time to learn it. So I think the biggest thing to get out of niche or general is don't take an order if you don't have the expertise and you can't deliver, or you're not willing to put in the work to learn what it takes and what that entails to be an expert and to be able to fill that order.
Yeah, because that could do you more harm than good. If you say, oh, wow, there's an opportunity. They need 10 of these over here. Well, we've never done that. Well, just take the orders. We'll figure it out. You might end up falling on your face, and that can hurt you for all the other business.
Absolutely. I mean, how you leave a client, I mean, they're going to go and tell everyone, and they're going to remember you forever that way. And so I think it was huge with like tech a couple years ago. Everyone wanted to be a tech recruiter. And it's like, what do you know about that? Right? Unless you go and learn that, how would you be able to present yourself as an expert? And so I think it's kind of a combination, but ultimately it's what you can deliver for a client. And so, and then another thing to really consider is like, don't niche yourself down until you've actually tried it. I know for me, I thought I was going to be heavy in 3PL. That was what I had a lot of experience in. But what I found is, they have a lot of bottom line, and they have a lot of time constraints. And so sometimes they're not open to the long-term, staffing solution. They want something quick. And so it didn't really connect too much for what I do. And so what I found is like I have a passion for manufacturing, and that tends to be a little bit more of our long-term game that we like to play with recruiting. And so that has been kind of a shift. But once I knew like, okay, that's my thing, I just went 1,000% into that and learned everything I possibly could about everything that goes on in one of those facilities. And then, like I said, when you see an opportunity, put in the work to learn that. Ask attorneys, ask who, if you're doing legal, whoever it may be, like, hey, can you sit with me and tell me some questions you would ask? What do I need to be looking for? And put in that time so that you're prepared when you represent a client.
These are lessons that anyone listening should be taking notes, because this is how you become a great recruiter. You become an extension of your clients. Like, you should know when you're recruiting for a company, you should know their business as well as they know their business, because you're the one out there talking to the candidates about their business. So I agree 100%.
I love that. Do your research, peeps.
Yeah, and do it because you actually like it too. I think, again,
right?
You're just doing it monetarily, like that'll last for a little bit, but you have to be passionate and share their mission too. I know one of my clients, it's funny because when we have new recruiters, we ask like, hey, can we set up a tour? And the past couple of tours, he's like, I'll walk with you, but you give the tour. And I know like all the history, fun facts about the building and when they like built the building and how they added on. And so it's been great to like really partner with people and not just freaking say it. I'm so, so many times we hear these agencies, we're personalized, we listen, and then, down in the weeds, you hear clients being like, they don't call us back. And I'm like,
all the time. I love that. So now you're a tour guide too, Sarah, right? You can put that as your title.
Yeah.
Artist,
I know.
tour guide.
I know. I'm going to put a Venmo square. That's what I said next time. I'll have some small tips or something.
Hey, John, we'll be seeing her on a forklift next week. Teaching the forklift drivers.
It wouldn't surprise me. She probably knows how.
Yeah. No, that is the one thing. It was funny because I asked them, what do you think I would do here? And they have like 20 different departments at this manufacturing facility. And I had a meeting with the owners a week and a half ago. And they, I was like, what do you think I would be good at? And they're like, customer service. I'm like, okay, let's put me beyond my wheelhouse. If I want to be on the floor,
Customer service.
They were like, oh, I feel like you might get squished, but you die trying, And I was like, thank you.
That is too funny.
You're not afraid of anything.
Not afraid of anything at all. So, okay, my last question I have for you, and I think the audience really needs to know this. How do you grow? That's the thing is, though, you're a small staffing firm. A lot of people want to like add more sites, keep growing, and they run out of money. What is your strategy every year for growth?
Well, I think you have to be able to sustain your growth, grow sustainably. It's pretty addicting if you do get on a roll to want to double again the next year. But it's like, do I really have the infrastructure to be able to support the quality that I'm promising these clients? And the biggest thing that I think has sustained my growth, I mean, the market was not great last year. We had our best year ever last year. I think it's because I really don't sell on price. I sell on results. I sell on the value I can create for you. And I know that that is hard when you're up against 20%, but if you just want that route, like I'm not the person for you. And that's, it costs me clients, but it aligns me with the right ones. And I owe it to the ones that have believed in me and give a fair, rate with us that I owe that to them as well. So I think so many times we can convince ourselves they want the cheapest option, but they really want the best return on investment. And if you can show that value through your process and going above and beyond, then they're more open to it. And sometimes we have people circle back around that went with the cheaper one is like, help after all.
You pay for what you get.
Yeah, I would always tell clients, hey, if you can find the best candidate at 20%, hire them. I would. I'm like, but I don't believe you can. I'm going to deliver you better quality. And as a result, I'm going to be charging you more, but it's because it's going to be someone that's going to return more value, to your point. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you compete against price and price alone, it commoditizes your service and devalues it. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah. Waters it down. It is what it is. Johnny, any final thoughts, brother?
Holy cow. Lots.
Over and over.
Sarah, thanks for spending time with us, first of all, and huge respect. I admire and respect the way that you've gone out on your own and how you've built your business and how you've made it your own, and that you've kept the people in the forefront as far as what's most important to you. So I admire that. Stay true to it, and it's working. So don't break it.
Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, so where can everybody see you at? You're on LinkedIn. Where else?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I have Instagram. I'm on Facebook. So I would say most of my content and TikTok. So I would say most of my, like, a great place to start would be my LinkedIn content. And so find me there at Sarah Chapa Foster. And I love to get to know people. There's people that reach out to me starting an agency, and I'll get on a Zoom call with you and answer any question. I'm an open book, and any value I can provide to people. Again, we're all people at the end of the day.
Exactly. I love that. Okay, so Sarah, I got something for you. You ready for this?
No.
So remember when we had that one comment, I think it was on LinkedIn, and said, I don't do cartoons.
Yeah.
Remember that? Well, here we go. This is you today.
Oh my gosh. This is why I don't do cartoons. I'm not meant for it. I'm not meant
Oh,
for it.
come on now. I had to put that out there. I was like, she's like, I don't do
my
cartoons
gosh.
because I
Yes.
love cartoons, by the way.
Richard loves his toys.
And I love it. Okay, I'm gonna have to post that and be like, this is why I don't do cartoon. I don't have the look for it.
That's great. Well, hey, Sarah, thank you so much again. If you guys get a chance, make sure you follow Sarah on all platforms there. She is, I'm going to tell you one thing before we leave here. You're probably one of the truest people I've ever met. Seriously, just, getting to know you and your content. She likes to work out. So if you need fitness tips, she's there for you too. But no, you really care about the people. And I do watch everything that you do because it pops in my feed. So you're one of the favorites on there. And it is amazing, John, what she does. She makes an impact and she's there for everybody. So you are 100% what staffing and recruiting is all about, dear.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. And I'm excited to meet more people.
Sounds good. And before we go,
thanks for being here.
There we go. Elizabeth in the house.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's one of my girls. They were like, we want to watch you. So
awesome. All right, guys, we're out of here. Number 98 is in the books. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.